You've been studying English for years. You watch English movies, you read English articles, you even think in English sometimes. But then, someone walks up to you, a colleague, a stranger at an airport, your boss in a meeting, and they ask you one simple question. And suddenly, your brain just stops. The words are somewhere inside your head. You know they're there, but nothing comes out. Or what comes out doesn't sound like you. It sounds like a nervous, broken version of you.
You go home. You replay that moment, and you think of exactly what you should have said. Clear, confident, perfect. But it's too late.
That feeling has a name, and more importantly, it has a fix. Today, we're talking about the 20-minute challenge that almost nobody is doing. But the people who are doing it, they're the ones who suddenly start sounding fluent, not because they learned more grammar, but because they trained their brain differently. Let's talk about it.
Okay, Jessica, let me ask you something. When you were learning English, was there a moment where you knew a lot, but still couldn't speak a lot?
Oh, completely. I remember preparing for a job interview. I had practiced my answers, I knew the vocabulary, but the moment the interviewer said, "Tell me about yourself," I just froze. My mouth went dry, my mind went blank, and I thought, what is wrong with me?
But nothing was wrong with you. See, this is the thing most English courses never tell you. There are two different skills here. One is knowing English, the other is using English under pressure, and they are not the same skill.
Exactly. It's like knowing how to swim in theory, reading books about swimming, watching videos, but then jumping into a pool and realizing your body doesn't know what your brain knows.
And this is why so many learners feel stuck. They feel like they're not improving, but the truth is, they're not practicing the right way.
Let's talk about what this actually looks like in real life, because I think a lot of our listeners will recognize these situations.
Sure. So the first one, and this is so common, is what I call the translation trap. You hear a question in English. Your brain immediately translates it into your mother tongue. Then you think of the answer in your mother tongue. Then you translate it back into English, and by that time, the moment is already gone.
I did this for years, and I didn't even realize it. It felt natural because it was my default. But here's the problem. When you're translating, you're not speaking. You're doing a language exam inside your own head.
Right. And the second struggle, it's the perfectionism problem. People wait for the perfect sentence before they speak, and while they're waiting, the conversation moves on.
I once had a student who told me she never raised her hand in class, not because she didn't know the answer, but because she was afraid her English wouldn't sound good enough. She knew the answer. She was just too scared of her own voice.
And that fear is real. We're not dismissing it. But it's also the exact thing that keeps people stuck.
So, the 20-minute challenge. Tell me about it.
Okay, so this is simple, almost embarrassingly simple, but the results are not simple at all. Every day, just 20 minutes, you speak English out loud, to yourself, no audience, no judgment. You pick a topic, anything. What you ate for breakfast, a movie you watched, an argument you had, and you just talk in English, non-stop.
And when you get stuck?
You don't stop. You fill the gap. How do I say this? Okay, let me try differently. And then you keep going.
That sounds so small, but why does it work?
Because you're training your brain to retrieve language under pressure, not to learn new words, not to fix grammar, but to take what's already inside you and use it in real time. It's the difference between a musician who only reads sheet music and a musician who jams every single day.
And the interesting thing is, after about a week of this, something shifts. The gap between thinking and speaking gets smaller. The translation step starts to disappear.
Exactly. You stop performing English, you start living in it.
Okay, we want to give you something to do today. Not tomorrow, today.
Set a timer for 20 minutes. Pick one topic, something personal, something you actually care about. Maybe it's, why do I want to improve my English? And talk, out loud, in English. Record yourself if you can, even just on your phone. Don't edit. Don't stop. Don't judge.
And if you run out of things to say at minute 5, that's information. That's telling you something. That's the exact muscle you need to build.
Let's bring it together quickly. Knowing English and speaking English under pressure, those are different skills. The translation trap keeps you slow and self-conscious. Perfectionism keeps you silent.
And the fix isn't more grammar exercises. It's more retrieval practice, speaking out loud, regularly, without waiting for the perfect moment. 20 minutes a day. Not to impress anyone, just to train your brain to access what you already know. Time for our vocabulary section. 5 words from today's episode, all intermediate level. 1. Retrieve. Meaning, to get something back from where it is stored, to recall information from memory. Example sentence. It's not about learning new words. It's about learning to retrieve the ones you already know. Speaking practice question. Can you describe a situation where you couldn't retrieve a word you knew? What did you do? 2. Fluent. Meaning, able to speak or write a language easily and naturally without stopping. Example sentence. She didn't sound fluent because of her vocabulary. She sounded fluent because she never panicked. Speaking practice question. What does being fluent mean to you personally? Is it perfect grammar or something else? 3. Default. Meaning, the way something is done automatically, without consciously choosing it. Example sentence. Translating in your head becomes your default, and you don't even realize it's slowing you down. Speaking practice question. What is your default language when you're stressed or tired? Do you switch to your mother tongue? 4. Judgment. Meaning, an opinion or decision about someone or something, often about quality or worth. Example sentence. When you speak to yourself, there's no judgment, and that's exactly why it works. Speaking practice question. Do you judge your own English when you speak? How does that feeling affect you? 5. Consistently. Meaning, in a regular, steady way, happening the same way every time. Example sentence. The learners who improve fastest are the ones who practice consistently, not perfectly. Speaking practice question. What's one thing you do consistently in your English learning routine? What do you wish you did more consistently? 6. Automatic. Meaning, done without thinking consciously, happening naturally as a habit or reflex. Example sentence. When speaking your mother tongue, the words feel automatic. That's exactly what daily practice builds in English, too. Speaking practice question. What parts of English already feel automatic to you? What still requires effort? 7. Confident. Meaning, feeling sure about your own ability, not afraid or doubtful. Example sentence. She wasn't the most advanced student in the room, but she was the most confident, and that made all the difference. Speaking practice question. Think of one moment when you felt confident speaking English. What made that moment different? 8. Frustration. Meaning, the feeling of being upset or annoyed because you can't do something the way you want to. Example sentence. The frustration isn't about being bad at English, it's about knowing more than you can currently express. Speaking practice question. How do you usually handle frustration when you're learning something new? Do you push through or take a break? 9. Overcome. Meaning, to successfully deal with a problem, fear, or difficulty. Example sentence. The moment you speak despite the fear, you begin to overcome it, one conversation at a time. Speaking practice question. What is one challenge in English you have already overcome? How did you do it? 10. Expose. Meaning, to put yourself in a situation where you experience something new or uncomfortable. Example sentence. The fastest way to improve is to expose yourself to real English conversations, even when it feels uncomfortable. Speaking practice question. How often do you expose yourself to real English outside of studying, like movies, podcasts, or conversations? Does it help you?
Here's what I want you to remember after today. The problem isn't your English. The problem is that your English has never been tested in a low-pressure environment. And a low-pressure environment is something you can create. In your room, in 20 minutes, starting today.
You don't need to be perfect. You don't need an audience. You just need to start talking and keep talking until it becomes natural. Fluency isn't a destination, it's a habit, and habits are built in small, quiet moments that nobody sees.
So go find your 20 minutes today. You know more English than you think you do. It's time to prove that to yourself.
If this episode made you think, even for a second, yes, this is exactly what I needed to hear, then subscribe so you never miss an episode like this one.
We put out new episodes every week. Real conversations, real struggles, real English.
Thanks for being here today. Now, go talk to yourself. We mean that in the best possible way.
See you next time.